Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. And what this video is going to be doing is predicting what I think will happen in the mid-season finale of Fear the Walking Dead called Shiva. If you are not caught up with Fear the Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I would exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay, so it's hard to believe that it's already the mid-season finale. It seems like just yesterday the show did start, but we are coming up on the mid-season finale, and I think the reason for that is because Preacher is starting, and I think that that's going to run for about 10 episodes. I think that's going to be about 10 weeks. And then I'm assuming that Fear the Walking Dead will start back up once Preacher is over or somewhere near that. So we'll see what happens. I don't think the schedule has been released yet. But this is going to be the mid-season finale, which makes me wonder if something big is going to happen in this episode. And I mean, we have a lot of things leading off from the last episode that really could make for quite a conclusion to this first half of the season. We, of course, found out that Celia was keeping some of the infected on her property in a cage, similar to how Herschel was keeping walkers in the barn. She feels like it's her duty to keep them, protect them, that she still sees them as alive, just different. That could have some consequences in the next couple of, in the next episode itself. We also have Chris, who has run off after some things that have happened in the last, pretty much the whole season. He's been struggling a lot, and it all came to a head in the last episode. And it makes me wonder what's going to happen there. Will his father go after him? And what's going to be the result of that? And then finally, we also have Strand, who shot his boyfriend Thomas in the head after he died from a walker bite. And obviously there's going to be some repercussions there because he had made it out to seem like he was going to commit suicide to be with Thomas as one of the infected, but he backed out on that promise and lied to Celia and ended up shooting Thomas so he wouldn't come back as one of the infected. So I think that's going to have a lot of effect on some of the things that are going on. In the sneak peeks for next week, there were two. One of them was Celia, who was very upset after finding her son was shot by Strand. She basically came in, yelled at Strand, was very upset that he backed out on the deal, that he lied about dying with Thomas and shooting him, and, just basically upset that Thomas fell in love with him being the way that Strand is, because, Celia's never liked Strand. She's always, seen him as very suspicious, seen him as somebody that wasn't right for her son, and that obviously those feelings are still harbored and they carry into that moment. And she orders everybody to leave. Now, whether they're going to leave or not, I'm not sure, but I think that there might be a chance that she apologizes the next day and says, hey, I'm sorry, I kind of overreacted a little bit, because there are still extra scenes that are going on the farm. I guess it would be kind of a farm, but at the Abigail residence, we see a lot of different things that are going on there, so it's possible that she might not kick them off right away. We also have Daniel Salazar having a dream, what I assume to be a dream. Him and Ophelia are in a bedroom. Daniel wakes her up, and they start to run out of the house. And Ophelia all of a sudden says, Dad, stop, I'm not feeling well. And when Daniel looks at her, her skin on her cheek is actually starting to come off, and she starts to peel it off. And again, I think that this is a dream. I don't exactly see what exactly would be going on here. And it may be that Daniel is having a flashback of something that was going on. Maybe there was some kind of a chemical that was being used during the revolution that made this happen. Maybe Daniel's just worried about his daughter becoming one of the infected. A lot of different things. But we've been noticing over the last several episodes that Daniel Salazar has been having flashbacks, maybe having post-traumatic stress disorder issues with some of the things that he did when he was in the Salvadorian Revolution. So I think that that's part of what's going on, and that's exactly what's going on in that particular sneak peek. Now, there's other things that are also going on, and I'm trying to figure out how they, in a sense, fit together and what's going to happen in the episode. But one of the things that we see right away in the trailer is that Madison is telling Alicia and Nick not to trust Celia and not to trust these people. Whether Daniel Salazar has informed everybody that there are infected in cages is hard to say. It may be that he does. It may be that he doesn't. It's hard to say exactly when that information might come out. But as far as I know, Daniel's the only one that knows that information at this time. And he's, of course, informed Celia about this, but that's it. So I don't know if that's why Madison is saying that, or if it's just based on some of the things that she's been seeing. The fact that she's been talking with Nick, trying to really persuade him to believe what she believes. The fact that, the way she reacted maybe whenever Strand shot Thomas. I think that there are a lot of things to be skeptical about just without knowing that information. So I think that Madison is going to be preparing for either the group to leave or that they might take the place over. It's really hard to say what the intention is going to be, but I think she is skeptical, and she's going to, of course, be looking out for her family like she always has been. We also have Nick in the trailer, who I think that Nick is really going through a very bad crisis right now. I mean, a lot of the characters are at this point, and Nick is one of them. We've been seeing Nick having a lot of trouble with the nature of the world. I mean, it's still relatively early, and of course, the infected they still look a lot like humans, really, which is something that I think changes the whole entire perspective about them. I can understand why maybe Herschel at the beginning or other people at the beginning might just see them as sick and not dead. And I think that for Nick, he's having trouble dealing with that, but he also seems to identify with them. And I think that a lot of the reason for that is just the way that he's been living his life. Living addicted to drugs, always being under the control of that drug. I think it kind of reminds him of what the infected are going through. And I think maybe he sees a little bit of a parallel there because when you're addicted to drugs, I mean, that's really the priority for some drug addicts, that they can't really live this life free of that and potentially even enjoy their life because of their addiction. And I think that Nick kind of was living that kind of life, living in a sense like a zombie. I think that that's something that he saw, and I think that he really does relate to the infected because of his experiences. And I think that really he's always seen himself in that way, and now it's just staring at him in the face. And I have to wonder if Celia really has potentially convinced him to become one of them. And I think that is what Celia's intention may be, or it might be another thing. But I think that there might be a chance that Celia might try to poison Nick in this next episode. I think it's very possible that she will try to turn him into one of the infected. And I think it is likely because we see in the trailer that Nick is walking amongst the infected again. Somehow he got blood on him. I don't exactly know if he's on the Abigail property or off, but he sees Madison later and he says, "I move among them." And I think that that's something that fascinates him. And I think that it's really concerning Madison, of course, because she does have concerns about her son's, mental state, what's going to happen to him, is his, concern for his care. So I think that that's going to be something she's going to be battling. We also, of course, have Chris, who has run off. We've been seeing over the last 6 episodes that Chris has been dealing with a lot of anger issues. We've seen that he has lost his mother, which is very hard. Trying to, form some kind of a relationship with his father, which really isn't working out, and just having a lot of problems adjusting, controlling that anger, expressing himself. And I think that it causes him to do some of the things that he does. And of course, we saw in the last episode that he got very upset at Madison for talking with Travis about what he did with Reed. And when one of the infected attacked Madison, he didn't try to help her. And as a result, Alicia had to stab the infected, or else Madison would have gotten killed. When Alicia confronts Chris about this, Chris threatens her. And this, of course, scares Alicia. And then we saw at the end of the episode that Chris went into the room and, he was holding a knife. And it makes me wonder, what was he going to do? Was he just going to talk with them? Was he just going to try to reason with them? Or was he intending on doing something terrible? We have no idea. But he's run off. And I think that there's a very good chance that Travis is going to be going after Chris in this episode. Obviously, he's very concerned for his son's sanity, his mental health, his just in general care as well. We have Madison, who's really struggling with Nick right now. And we have, in the same sense, Travis concerned with Chris. And I think that the only way that everything is really going to work out is if everybody works together to care for these people and to care for each other as things are getting worse. So I think that that's something that's going to happen in this episode. Whether Chris will want to come back or not, he might not. That might end up carrying over into the next part of the season. He may not come back in this episode. They may not even find him. He's featured in the trailer, but whether he's going to be by himself, whether he's going to run into new people, what's going to happen, we don't know. But there are a lot of questions about that. But I think that Travis is going to go after him. And then the final big thing that really seems to be going on with the trailer is we see scenes with Strand and Daniel Salazar at different points. And it may be that something bad is going to happen. We see at a point where Strand seems to be digging a grave. And I think that it might be the grave for Thomas, that he's intending on burying his body, of course. And later on, it's night, and we see a bunch of men with guns surrounding Strand and walking with him. Part of me thinks that Celia may intend on killing him. I think that there's a very good chance that, she's going to be upset because Strand killed her son, robbed him of the chance, in her perspective, to live truly, as one of the infected, still alive. And I think she might intend on taking justice into her own hands. She might kill him and, put him out of his, misery, not bring him back as one of the infected. She may intend on feeding him to the infected. That's a very good possibility. We've been seeing that Celia does feed the infected. Now, she was feeding them a dog earlier in the 6th episode, but it makes me wonder if she may have to turn towards live meat as well to feed the infected. And I think there's a very good chance that maybe that might be her intention as well, that she's going to use Strand's body to feed the infected. But I think there's a very good chance she's going to try to kill him, and Strand's either going to have to come up with some kind of a plan, or he might be a goner in the next episode. And the other thing that we see going on is Daniel. He is getting beaten up at one point. We see these men coming and beating him up, and then later on we see him tied up in a chair, with rope around him. And, we have to wonder, are these different people? Are these Celia's men? And it makes me wonder if maybe she was concerned that Daniel was going to tell people about the infected, that he couldn't be trusted with this information, and that the only way that she can protect that secret is by imprisoning him. And I think that might be her motivation. Now, what exactly is she going to do with him? That's a big question. It really does make me wonder if maybe she might kill Daniel. That might be possible. And I really have to wonder if she does have intentions for these individuals, with Madison and Alicia and Ophelia. I have to wonder again if she does intend on killing them and using their bodies to feed the infected, that or maybe she intends on turning them into the infected. I do have to wonder if that is her motivation, if she does have some kind of a plan, because we do see a part in the trailer where Ophelia is looking at something and crying, and Alicia's kind of dragging her away. Now, when Daniel's getting beaten up, it's during the day. So part of me does wonder if maybe Daniel Salazar was killed. Maybe one of the people did kill him, left the body, and maybe Ophelia is seeing Daniel's body, and that's why she's upset. Maybe she's seeing something else terrible. Maybe it's just the infected have gotten loose. It makes me wonder if Daniel might get loose and let the infected out of the cage to, cause mayhem and save his friends. He might end up finding out about the plan, something that is going to happen to everybody. So that might be something that he's doing. Maybe that's why Ophelia is reacting like that, because there's a bunch of infected that are walking around. Lots of possibilities. I think that this is going to be a major episode, and it really makes me wonder, will it end with another cliffhanger? Are we going to be left wondering exactly whether certain people are alive, certain people are dead? If we don't know what they're going to be doing, or maybe they're back out on the yacht and they're off for another adventure. Hard to say, but I think that those are some of the events that are going to happen, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what exactly they're going to come up with. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.